Don't touch.
That is
Who
nice.
wants the camera pants away?
Do you feel this jacket, how nice it is?
I'd like to welcome everyone to the regular meeting, Moose Lake City Council for Wednesday, December 13th, 2017. I'd like to start with a Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to welcome our guests here tonight and the general public. Thank you. The next item is the agenda. Do we have any additions or corrections to the agenda? Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept the agenda?
So move. Accept it as written.
Second.
Any further questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carried. Under consent agenda, to raise the minutes, we have the November 8th, 2017 City Council meeting minutes. Are there any questions or discussions on the minutes? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
So moved. Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carried. Under 2B, we have the financial reports. Number 1 is the city accounts payable for December 2017. Number 2 is the city financial statements for November 2017. And number 3 is the liquor store profit loss statement for November 2017. Any questions or discussion on the financial reports?
Yes. Can we get it from now on for next year? Can we get more of a breakdown out of the liquor store between the two departments?
Tim?
I don't think we
I don't think we ever have. That's what I'm saying.
Do you mean like off sale or on sale?
Right.
I can talk to Mark.
Well, the new system, I think, was capable of doing it.
They have a ton of different reports.
We will try. Yes.
Any other questions? Nothing, no other questions, comments? Do I have a motion to accept the financial reports?
So move.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carried. Number 3, public comment time. This time is reserved for comments from the public on matters not listed on the agenda. Please keep your comments to 3 minutes. Do I have anyone in attendance care to speak? Hearing none, we'll move on. And this time is a public hearing for truth in taxation, and we'll open the public hearing at this time. I'll turn it over to Mr. Administrator.
All right. Page 30 of your packet is the budget presentation. We'll start with just the general property taxes, the levy for 2017 compared to 2018. There's an increase in the levy by about $32,000 for the general fund. There are a portion of our levy goes towards debt service, which is not included in this slide, but later on under the debt service you will see that. Sales tax is included in the 2018 budget. It is a very, very estimated number. We have no idea what it will be, but it is restricted. So at the end of the budget, you'll see that there is a net income that includes the sales tax. We don't have any expenses planned for 2018 for that sales tax. We can take a look at that throughout the year, but kind of the idea behind it was, at least for the first year, to get that fund a little bit of a balance before we started doing a bunch of projects. Local government aid will increase in 2018 by $36,169, and the transfer from Power and Light will remain the same. On the next slide, expenditures, we have to add back in elections. 2018 is an election year. The city administrator department is now fully staffed for an entire year. The police department overtime budget, part-time wages, and overtime part-time wages have been lowered by 4.5%. Contractual wage increases are included in this budget, as well as the addition of one full-time officer and the update to health insurance as well. The parks budget, I don't know if you remember this from 3 months ago, but basically we had not been being billed for garbage pickup for about 2 years there, and then all of a sudden they came back and we had a very, very large bill. So that expense is added back in there. The next slide goes department by department. One of the things I'd like to point out is that the difference, so that third row on there is extremely minimal in all except for the police department, which is with the addition of another full-time officer. The decrease in health insurance was a huge saver in this budget. I will say that for the most part, a lot of our departments just kind of maintained into 2018. The second department slide, Parks and Recs, has a difference of about $8,990. Almost $8,000 of that is the garbage. The next slide is capital improvement projects. The big one for the police department is our Zerker systems, which is the new police department system that they are moving to countywide. Public Works has a new Public Works pickup truck, skid steer trailer, some miscellaneous tools, a material shed, and a Public Works upgrade to the kind of the back half of the facility. The next slide has Parks and Rec. We have new doors for the bathrooms, a couple added dock sections. Most of our dock was underwater, or they were not able to dock their boats at the docks. Gravel for the entrance roads into the campground, and then some miscellaneous tools and items along there. Riverside Arena has a power amp and subwoofer, heater for the press box, tables and chairs and traffic barriers. The community center, just listed under that department, is some holiday lights that we hang on our light poles, replacing a bunch of those, as well as some new banners to hang from the light poles for next year as well. The next slide is capital improvement by department. Not a huge change year to year. The next slide on page 34 is the summary for the general fund. The large increase in net income includes, again, the sales tax, which is restricted. So it's not quite as it seems, but for the next year, that's kind of our plan. The next couple slides, you can see the tax levy compared to surrounding communities. Moose Lake's levy and tax rate is lower than communities like Barnum, Carlton, Proctor, and slightly higher than communities like Willow River and Renshaw. The next slide on page 35 is the historical levy information, just year-over-year change. Page 36 is where our first step to this budget is. These are a couple options for our levy. What's included in our budget right now is the 5% increase that we had talked about at our initial budget meeting in September. That is still my suggestion for next year, and that information is included on this slide. From there, our debt service budgets are included. You'll notice that they're there are, the 2011A bond includes some general property taxes for $40,333, as well as the 2014A Park Place Drive bond. The water fund and sewer fund are next. Water revenues, I'm budgeting to stay, as well as the expenditures, basically remain the same. Net income increased slightly due to health insurance. I will say that this budget does not allow basically anything for capital improvements and planning for the future. I know that we're not necessarily interested in raising everything all at once, but our water fund has not been increased over the last couple of years, and it certainly is needing a boost in income to start contributing back to its system. I'm suggesting a rate increase of 3%, which would bring revenues up to $261,000. It's about a $7,000 increase. It's extremely small, but it would be a step in the right direction, I think. The next slide is the sewer fund. The sewer fund has large debt payments in it. However, it has a fund reserve to cover those, which is why the net loss that's included in 2017 and 18 are okay. The one thing that we don't want to see is that net loss continue to increase. So I'm suggesting a 3% rate increase for the sewer as well, which would increase our revenues to $530,250, or about $15,000, and it would bring that net loss back down to about $50,000, which is right around where we want to see it. Water and sewer capital improvement. This was part of the plan that Bolton and Mink had put together. Included in the 2018 budget is the water tower cleaning and replacing cleaning 2 lift stations and replacing the pumps at the Knollwood and Campground lift stations. In 2018, we'll also need to start looking into replacing the 2 wells in the well house. The liquor fund next year. The health insurance kind of brought this one back. I will say that it's been trending, I guess, a little bit in the last year or two in the wrong direction. But last year we also had the point-of-sale system installed, some higher credit card processing fees, and health insurance helped out a little bit. We did have a crime take place across the street from the liquor store, which brought some attention to the surveillance system that we have down there. The surveillance system that we have is extremely old, and just basically doesn't work for what we need it to work. We got a quote. It's not $15,000 like I thought. It would be about $10,000 for the surveillance system. My suggestion is that we add that back, or add that into the budget as well, and get that one knocked out. I think that we will look a little silly if something takes place there and we have a surveillance system that doesn't work. So I think that's a pretty easy fix, especially now that we have fiber run to our liquor store and it can be on our server with the rest of our surveillance systems. The next one's the DMV fund. We have quite a bit of additional revenue. The DMV is extremely busy. Still, we don't get a lot of say in what fees we charge. Actually, we get no say in the fees that we charge. Health insurance provided a little bit of savings, but we still do have a net loss of $9,451 budgeted for the DMV. So the last slide is on page 40. We will need motions for the final levy dollar amount, the general fund revenue and expenditure amounts, and the enterprise funds as well. Any questions on that?
We should open it up for any public comment. Once we hear public comment, then we'll close it, and then we would do the motions during the regular city council meeting. So I'll open up to the general public for any questions on our budget for 2018.
I didn't receive any calls or emails or mail or anything like that either.
I don't know if we have to wait, if there is a time limit. If not, I'll ask again, are there any comments from the public on our budget for 2018? And I'll ask a third and final time, are there any comments for the 2018 budget? Hearing none, then we'll move on. We will, at this time, close the public hearing, and I think we need a motion for that.
So move.
Do I have a motion?
Move we close the meeting.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. The public hearing is closed. We do have 3 areas that we're looking for a motion. Final City of Moose Lake levy dollar amount. Do you want to
What is the dollar amount, Mr. Administrator?
explain it?
It's currently, in the way that it's budgeted right now is $574,577. 574,577.
Make a motion that we levy the amount of $574,577 for 2018.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The next motion we need is on the general fund revenue and expenditure amounts.
Give me 1 second. If you go to page 34, the revenue amount is there. And I gotta add the expense up.
You can't do that in your head.
Okay. The revenue dollar amount is $1,980,623. The expenditure is $1,825,896.
Any questions, discussion, or a motion on the revenue and expenditure amounts?
So then, Mayor,
Yes, sir.
so then you just added those, the capital
The
improvements
operating
and
expense in the CIP,
capital
yes.
improvements together. Okay.
Make a motion that the general fund revenue be passed for $1,980,623.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any questions, discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carried. And the last motion needed would be for the enterprise fund revenue and expenditure amounts. Mr. Administrator?
So let's start with water. If you go to page 37, the water revenue and expenditures are laid out. If the council would like to move forward with the 3% rate increase, the revenue is included down below.
Council?
I guess I kind of have a little issue with that since the water and light are raising their percentage is so high this year. I need to add another additional 3 and 3 on that. It's, you know, it's quite a bit for individuals and households.
I agree. It's perhaps not the best of timing. The one thing that I will say is that if we don't look to make small increases, what I fear will happen is that we will wind up doing the same thing that the utility is claiming now, which is we haven't made increases, we haven't done increases, now we need to do a large one. The sewer department is kind of a good example of this. It's one that we need to make sure doesn't spiral out of control with our bond payments. So we are, part of the plan with the increase and the lift station project was to make small increases year after year to keep up with larger bond payments. If we don't do one in the sewer department, that one will absolutely spiral out of control in the next couple of years. So I would have to say that I'm a little bit more adamant about that one. The water fund, I mean, you're just putting it down the road. That's
Well, could we do a smaller for the water?
absolutely,
fund and
Like
then-
a
absolutely.
1.5.
Like, yeah, 1.5, and then if you feel that we need to do the 3% on the sewer fund.
Make a motion that we do a 1.5% rate increase on the water fund and the 3% on the sewer fund.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Any further questions, discussion? I'll just make a comment, I agree totally with what you're saying, Chris, and I think that's a good compromise, the 1.5. Thank you. We have a motion and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carried. And I believe that is all the motions that we need, correct? Those are the
Liquor,
three.
Liquor expenses.
liquor's the big one. We should also make one for the DMV as well, but liquor with the surveillance system not being included in there, that's kind of one that I would like to discuss. I think the revenues and net income there are an example of something that we can reinvest in that building and continue to reinvest in that building before the surveillance system isn't going to stop us from redoing a building per se, but what I would hate to happen is 10 years down the road say that we need a new liquor store again. So my suggestion is that we have $10,000 to go towards a surveillance system. We might not the year after or the year after the year after. The revenue and expenditures are listed out there. I would say if you make a motion on the revenue and expenditures and want to include the surveillance system, just increase the expenditure by $10,000. So it'd be 1,275,557.
Make a motion to approve the liquor store revenues of $1,339,300 and expenditures of $1,275,557, which includes a $10,000 surveillance system.
Do I have a second?
Second. Whatever.
Any further questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carried. That brings us to the DMV fund.
And I don't have any suggestions for that one other than what's provided for revenue and expenditures.
Is there any special expenditure that we're facing?
No.
That
There's a reason why they almost match up identically is because the main portion of our revenue then gets turned over to the state. So, no. Frankly, I'd love to tell you there's something that we could cut, there isn't, and I'd love to tell you that there's something that we could raise, and there isn't.
This is a change from a normal year. Do you know why?
I don't think that it is.
Right.
Last year's budget was a net loss. Last year when I started and we went through the audit, it was a net loss from 2 years ago. So this will be the third year that I have reviewed and know about that will be a net loss. I think one of the ways that I look at this is kind of like our park system or our gardens or something like this. I don't think $10,000 of a net loss is a reason not to have a DMV. I think the DMV brings a lot of people into our community. I think that the DMV in Moose Lake is looking at expanding some of the things that it provides in 2018 that we will be bringing up at a later date. But I think that this is something that we provide to the community that's a great benefit.
Council, any questions, discussion, and/or motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept the revenues of $1,812,800 and expenditures of $1,822,251 for the DMV.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions, discussion? We can't send less back to the state, can we?
That is actually a resolution that's on here is seeking to increase rates. They've increased the state's fee time and time again. I think that maybe that gets lost in translation to some of the customers. No, they don't ever increase our fees.
All right. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. I believe that is the end of the motions needed. And we will, at this time, then move on to department reports. Tim, is there any reason you want to move anything up? The people here tonight?
We can do the EDA appointments.
EDA
if you want.
appointments.
Okay,
It's 5C.
we will jump down, we'll do the reports after we finish some of our things that our guests are here for. This would be 5C EDA appointments.
Page 50.
And we have a page.
Page 50.
So we didn't have two here last time that you guys had requested that we invite Yvonne and Terry. I don't know if anybody wants to speak or have questions for them.
Now, we're looking for,
So we have 5 positions on the EDA. 2 of them are council, 3 of them need to be filled. And there's 4 included in your packet.
also,
The only comment I would state is that looking at the applicants, all of them bring something to the table, but our rules are clear, as stated right now, is that the applicants have to be residents of Moose Lake, and I believe that we put that in there.
No. So we started off as
I thought
residents.
that's what we did.
We started off as residents, but then we included residents,
Did we do business?
business,
Okay.
if you work in Moose Lake,
Okay, because that would change things greatly.
yeah, all of these,
Okay.
all of these fit our
Yep.
expanded rules.
As long as they breathe Moose Lake air, they're kind of...
The previous applicant, he didn't work in Moose Lake?
He didn't.
He did not work in Moose Lake, he did not live in Moose Lake, and
He is
didn't have
Windermere
a
Township.
business. Didn't have business. in
didn't
it.
have business
That's where I
here,
was
yeah.
getting confused.
Yep. And even,
We gave this opportunity, I think, for the 2 that didn't show up to talk. I'd like to hear them talk, I guess, why they want the
Me
position.
too.
Great.
You all know me, Yvonne Skelton. I was born in Moose Lake, raised in Moose Lake, graduated in Moose Lake, moved away, came back to raise my family in Moose Lake. Own a business right next door, Davidson Insurance. So I love Moose Lake. When I think back, being young and not really caring about the growth of it, the people that were involved, those leaders back then were really instrumental to bring in the businesses that are here now. So I think this would be a great way to serve, I guess, our city in that sense to bring economic development. What I like about Moose Lake with the new development that we have up I-35 is really great, but I also feel we need to make sure we have our downtown be just as vibrant and growing in that transition, I think, that we have with two different business districts. So, anybody have any questions?
Good. Like that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Yvonne.
Hello, my name is Terry Comey, and my husband and I purchased a cabin several years ago here on Sand Lake and with my family, and a couple years ago we decided to build, and we love Moose Lake, and I just want to be more involved in the community, and I thought this would be a great opportunity to do this, and I hope I'm able to. I know I live on Sand Lake, but I don't know if that's going to be a negative thing or not, or
I don't think
that's
it's
okay.
not a negative.
Okay.
I think that one actually, do you work in Moose Lake?
No, I work at Essentia Health.
Essentia Health in Duluth.
That one might not fit. So I think what it was is live in Moose Lake, work in Moose Lake,
Or on a business.
or own a business in Moose
Business in
Lake.
Moose Lake.
Properties are,
That one I think doesn't fit.
Okay.
Mike, I think you made that motion. Is that how you remember it too? Live in,
Something,
work
yep.
in?
something like that, yeah. We had some, so we could get outside input, that's the idea there, but with some guidance.
I don't think that one fits. I'm sorry, I missed that one.
Okay, I was thinking that when I was sitting there, so. All right, well, thank you anyway.
One thing I would say, though, is that, it's very rare to have somebody come here and say, I want to be part of this community, and we do have other openings on different committees.
Okay.
And thank you so much for, caring about this community, and please look in the paper when we do have those openings, because you'd be a great fit.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, thank you.
Much, thank you. I second that.
Actually, we will be going over that later of what committees are open.
Yes, and I think there are some.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I know the park board has at least a couple open, but yeah, we can go through that later.
Thank you, Terry.
So then it's just Tia, Yvonne, and Steve.
Steve?
I'll make a motion that we accept Steve, Tia, and Yvonne for the positions that are open.
I second.
Any further question or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carried. Thank you. You're welcome to stay, those who want to, or you can leave.
Since we have that we have that a couple spots open, you might want that information. Otherwise, you could call the city, that we do have some openings that you might want to look at.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we'll move on. We'll go back to the police department chief on the department reports. This is for November 4th through December 6th,
How do you do that?
and the squad computer purchase.
Oh, I don't have it.
I saved mine to Adobe.
Okay, all right, never mind.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council.
Get through tonight.
Been another busy month. MnDOT did install our radar sign on Arrowhead Lane. Seems to be working properly. They moved it a little bit farther south than it was before. So seems to be working pretty good. So last week we did tobacco compliance checks. Everybody passed with the exception of Marketplace Foods. They did sell. The clerk it was cited, and the business has sent an administrative fine. So Wednesday before Thanksgiving, we had a multi-agency drug roundup in Moose Lake. A couple of people that we got word were selling methamphetamine in Moose Lake. And after a lengthy investigation, we were able to do several search warrants and arrest 2 individuals and recover several grams of methamphetamine. So I really want to thank Officer Jamie Jungers. Worked tirelessly on that investigation, and we're very fortunate to have somebody with his experience and work ethic working for our department. So the county installed school zone signs by the new school on County Road 10, 20 miles an hour between 8 and 4 on school days. We have been running a lot of radar up there and monitoring traffic and have made several stops. People have been driving that road for decades, and change comes hard. But we are doing a lot of traffic stops and a lot of police presence trying to slow down traffic. I have wrote a letter and also talked to our commissioner, Gary Peterson, asking them to install radar signs out on County Road 10 in the speed zone transitions. And he assured me he was going to personally bring it up to the county highway engineer and see what they can do. So that's about all I have.
Can you keep an eye on where that speed zone thing is? Because I think if people stop at the stoplights, I don't think you can even get to 30 by the time that you hit that radar sign.
On a red light, yeah.
How hard is that
They
to?
have a red light.
Yeah. I don't know why they moved it back. They didn't ask me. It was more by the bridge before last.
I liked
time.
where it was before.
I don't know if they talked to you about it, Phil, or not.
No, they did not. They just installed it back there.
Yeah.
Where they thought of over.
All right, well,
Well, I'll certainly monitor it and see. I know the one on Highway 73, Sioux Hill, has just done wonders with traffic coming down the hill.
Just a question, where you're kind of easy on the first people you stop by the school, just to kind of
Given a lot of
get their
warnings.
attention?
Given a lot of warnings, and the response that I've gotten, people just didn't even realize it.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're not super noticeable. It seems like the speed limit signs have gotten smaller with the new standards. Again, I'm hoping a radar sign would really catch the attention of people.
Or even one of those blinking around this speed,
Yeah,
even that to get attention.
yeah, the one in Barnum catches your eye.
It does.
yeah.
How's the roundabout going?
Roundabout is fine. We haven't had any accidents, knock on wood. I did ask Trooper Matt Heaton. He does safety talks to student driving classes around the area. I asked him to talk with the new student drivers and just go over the rules of a roundabout and just the proper way to use them. He said he certainly would. But I haven't really had any complaints recently with it. It seems like people have, after a few times going through it, it's just second nature now. So, yes, sir.
Some of the people have mentioned something about when the students get out of school, they come to that intersection and they won't allow anything else to get into the roundabout. They'll back themselves up as they come into it, and they'll just be a full circle, and there's no space between for anybody coming in from a different direction.
So you're saying they just keep going in circles?
No, they don't go in a circle, but I mean, anybody coming from like the freeway, and if they want to go to town, and most of them do, they're right behind each other, and anybody coming from the freeway has a hard time trying to fit into the traffic.
Yeah, I don't know if they're actually breaking the law doing
Well,
that.
I doubt it. I was just wondering if there was something that could be mentioned at school.
And I brought that up before because I get off at 3:30 and I'm coming in the same way, and they tailgate each other to where they don't take the turn to yield, and I mean, it's not a yield, it's a continuous motion from the school, school buses, everything just.
It would be just something that could be mentioned at school in their programs of their driving and so on and so forth.
Take
In
turns.
other words,
Do a better job of taking turns.
In other words, right, have a little courtesy.
Yield is a yield.
Well, they would have the right of way prior.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I mean, it's just a consecutive
Yeah.
flow.
Because I was thinking that I'd take it, someday go up there about that time and just go in a circle real slow, make it all slow down.
Make a traffic space for everybody else. I could certainly look into that. I can try and do a better job of monitoring it as well. But again, I don't think they're doing anything illegal, but it's more of a common courtesy thing.
It definitely is.
Okay.
I had a question. As someone made a comment to me about the cameras at the PD are not what you're receiving, I guess, as far as, is it just the liquor store that you're having an issue with as far as?
We've never received the liquor store cameras. A lot of the cameras are up and working. Some still have to be focused or positioned.
I would just think that should be something that's a major focus, no pun intended, but I mean, you utilize that and you can help get criminal information by those cameras, and that's what they're there for, and they're not being utilized, and I don't think they've been utilized since they've been installed properly anyhow.
Seeing a priority, correct?
Well, I think it should be. I mean, we spent all this money, and we have some, people in a position to do it. If it's something that is a tech thing, let's get it handled and let's get them working. We have a lot of spaces on there, and they can. We know what's happened in the past. We've had someone abducted from our community that if we had better camera systems, we would have found the person. And I think the onus is on us to make sure that we take care of these cameras.
Our administrator should look into that.
Yes, that Tim has, you got his attention. Let's put it that way.
The second item under the police chief is squad computer purchase. We have a line item in the police department budget that basically was not used in 2017 that would cover the cost of purchasing new equipment. With switching over to our new computer system and some requirements, the chief thought it would be best, and I do as well, to replace some of the equipment while we have the money available within that department. So this was not budgeted for, but the item that was budgeted for would cover this. So this would not be an additional
So you
dollar above our budget.
need a consensus then, or just a...
No, I have a motion to do this one would be.
I'll make a motion that we purchase the squad computers.
I'm sorry, yeah, we got a quote for 3 that came over the budget, so that's why there's writing on the side. The writing on the side is for 2, so the total cost would be $9,850. I would say let's maybe leave a little room for installation, which was potentially going to be $1,500. The tunnel thing, whatever.
It's a device that carries the air card and receives and transmits the information. Would be about $1,500.
So that would be my only suggestion, is to include that as well.
This would be for 2 computers.
This is for 2 computers, as well as the, they hold the computer in there, the mount.
Cradle Point is what they're called.
Okay. To purchase 2 computers and whatever accessories you need, and to include the $1,500 estimated for the
Cradle Point. That's what it's called.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Further discussion, questions? To me, just, this is, to me, like an administrative
I can't spend more than 1,500. So if you guys don't make the motion for the Cradle Point thing, I'm gonna go ahead and do that anyways, but I can't do the
That's what I was
9,850
going
on
to
my
point
own.
out. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And you had maybe a little comment on the tests this last weekend?
Yeah, we waited 19, 16 showed up, the other 3 notified us. I think we have some real promising applicants. So we're going to try and find a day to interview the top, I think 7 candidates is what we figured out. We just kind of drew the line at 75% for the test scores. So, but no, I think we have a good group of folks wanting to work here. So.
Very good. Will you be making the contact to the ones that didn't, the testers, Bryce doing that?
No, we will.
Okay, just to make sure that people are notified. Very good.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. And I saw you had total 156 calls for the month. Public Works. Thanks, Phil.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, we had a good month in November. We were actually we were able to focus on our preventative maintenance stuff instead of running some 73 emergency or 27 emergency or this or that or whatever. So we actually did really well for the way the weather switched and the early snow in October. We did really well. The water department, we pumped 3.4 million gallons of drinking water. The fire department, or the fire hydrant on 5th and Hickory was replaced. Put back into service. Everything was working fine there. The sewer department collected 13 million gallons of wastewater the month of November. Had a couple of discharges going on at the wastewater treatment plant. One was 42 million gallons. The other one was 19.2 million gallons. Excuse me. We're still on pace to meet our phosphorus limit for 2017 for the PCA, which is huge because that was a big project we spent a lot of money on, and it's working, and it's great. We won't know until the end of the year where exactly we sit. But as of right now, we're looking really good. So the 7th Street lift station pumps that were approved at the last meeting were put in and installed, and those are all working up and no problem. Our run times are cut by 50% with these new pumps. So we're running way less time, way less amps, way everything, and much more efficient pump. So it was a smart call. And then our NPDES permit application, which is our sewer permit that we have to apply for every 5 years. I'm about 50% completed with that. It's due the PCA by the 31st of January. I should be done by about the 1st of the year. So we're on track with that as well. Potholes were filled throughout the whole city. The 27th, we just took one day, set it aside, did the whole thing. Continuous list, so if the public or administration or council members or anybody has anything you'd like to see put on that list once a month, just get a hold of me and we can definitely get it on there. And then snow removal, of course, as always, seemed like that has kicked it in gear here, especially today. So, and that's all I got.
You know that phosphorus system now that is, the ponds are frozen, right?
Yep.
So that thing is just
Yep, it's winterized.
sit still next spring then?
Correct, yep, until next April.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay,
He's doing a great job.
thanks.
Thank you.
Pass the word, everybody did a great job there. It was a tough summer.
City engineer. Thank you, Steve.
Mayor, members of the council, I didn't have any updates on the LRIP project. Nothing's happened since last month, so unless there's been any complaints that the city's received, I haven't heard of them. So we're just waiting for spring now to get.
I was going to say, what is left?
There's a little cleanup work along 3rd that I know needs to get done. Kenwood is pretty well done.
Did we do all the seeding and all that?
Seeding on Kenwood was all done, the topsoil and seeding.
Okay.
So we'll look at it in the spring and see, there's like spots that don't grow, and we'll have to touch those up. So we'll see what it looks like when it warms up.
Okay.
But I think that was in pretty good shape. And then the administrator had asked me to just check with my other cities about standards for driveways. And what I kind of found was a common sense answer from the other cities that they don't have a written policy on driveways because especially in commercial areas, they want to be flexible to get the most out of the commercial property that they can. Normally, though, we give one driveway per lot. On corner lots, they usually approve two, one on each street. And then if it's a bigger lot, maybe there is a third driveway needed, and we look at that for setback from the intersection, where the other driveways are to make sure it's safe to get in and out. What kind of business is it going to be? Is it a drive-through coffee shop that has just a ton of cars coming in and out every 2 minutes, or is it a destination shop? So I would suggest that we not have a written policy that we look at each property as it comes up and what the land use is going to be. So that was what I said in the memo. So
Will that be passed on to the individual that asked the question?
Sure.
Okay.
if a land use, proposed land use came in that he needed a third driveway, we'll certainly look at it and make that property as valuable as we can in a safe manner, so.
And I think we both had talked to him about that as well as.
Yes.
How about the water that was sitting on the corner, I think, what was it, the southeast corner?
I was not back up to see it, and I couldn't see anything tonight, so I did drive through there, but.
Yeah, there's some water frozen there.
I think
There's a puddle.
that's probably going to need to be something that we look at in spring.
And it may
kinda tough to
it may
fix
have been
that
there
stuff
all
now.
along, too. That's something you normally don't notice in everyday,
There's
they've
an,
always been there.
Mayor, there's an outlet for the water. We may just need to do some fine-tune grading
Sure.
come spring.
Oh, there's
so.
curb and everything there to block.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Dave. Yes, do you have a
Just thanks,
question?
no, just thanks the engineer and the contractor. Boy, that Third Street is just super. We'll see what happens this spring with the watershed systems and the storm sewer, and hopefully that's going to help out a lot for those places down there too, so.
Kenwood also, Kenwood South, that
Yes,
turned out really
beautiful.
nice. Yeah,
It's beautiful, both of them, yeah.
thank you. Chamber of Commerce update.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. Again, Tia Gurkeski, I'm the president of the chamber. If I may, I would like to, Terry, if you want to get involved, the chamber is actually a really good way to get involved in the community as well. And there's individual memberships that are available.
Okay,
So
thank
you can contact me anytime you want to. Last month, I did tell you just a little bit about the strategic planning process that we went through. I didn't have the copies of it. I did bring copies of it for you tonight. And I brought one copy of the supplemental notes, and that just talks about what our process was and maybe some of the ideas. That's the strategic plan, and maybe Mr. Mayor, if you want just that.
Oh, thank you.
We don't really want that the supplemental notes widely circulated. I mean, I guess it's
Okay.
probably not a big deal, but if somebody's thing didn't get in there, we don't. It was just explaining our process. So.
Thank you.
In the strategic plan, you'll see what we're planning for the immediate, the next 3 and 5 years. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here tonight going over it with you. I think you all can look at it. I'm hoping I was able to rearrange some of my schedule. I should be able to be here most Wednesdays for meetings going forward. Up to this point, it just was not a possibility. If you have any questions on the strategic plan, I'll entertain them, or you can interrupt me as I go. That would be fine. I wanted to talk about an event that we're planning on February 10th. That's at Ice Bocce. I spoke with Tim a little bit about it. Ice Bocce, it's an event that the Chamber is sponsoring. However, we have 3 other groups that are involved, and those are the post-prom groups throughout the area, Willow River, Moose Lake, and Barnum. The proceeds of that event will go to those post-prom groups. I'm not sure, do I need to officially ask for your approval to use the park for that event on February 10th. We would hope to be able to use the pavilion as a warming house. And then we've spoken with Mark down at the Muni. He's willing to bring up portable sails up there. The groups, the post-prom groups and Chamber will do most of the work necessary. I don't know if you need to formally approve that.
Yeah, I think I just wanted everyone to be aware that that was going down there, and if anybody had any questions.
Well, just what it's about, I guess, what they're going to be doing.
Well,
It's a chance to pass it on to the community right now.
yeah, so the event is kind of a combination between bocce ball and curling, if you will. So teams will consist of 4 people, and no more than 2 men on a team. You can't have a team of 4 women. I didn't bring the rules with. I should have brought the rules with, if you remember, Yvonne. But part of the idea, I guess, that probably the overriding thing that goes along with our strategic plan is trying to get an event that happens in the winter that would be a draw for people to the area. I think the businesses will be happy if we can get, 100 people there. I think it would be more on any given day that are going to come to town. So that's really the underlying goal, but then secondary is really to stay true to what the Chamber is trying to do as far as we have Moose Lake Area Chamber, so including the area, and we thought what better way to do it than to involve the post-prom groups. So as business owners, we get requests on a consistent basis, for these groups, which we're happy to do, but if we can help them along by earning a little bit of money. I did want to mention, the Chamber received an email from Barney Hollis, and he was concerned about the Ice Bocce event and us using the pavilion because he stores his, does he store his decorations in there?
I think it's all decorated right now.
Okay. Yeah. I tried to reassure him it wasn't, nobody was intentionally or trying to overshadow or forget about him by any stretch. I just didn't think, nobody thought about it. But we did offer to help him if we need to have them removed or whatnot. So I think hopefully that's smoothed over with Barney. So any question? We do plan to have food sales. It'll be the first year. Yeah, we also want to make sure it's fun for everyone.
You need the pavilion, electricity turned on. You realize there probably wouldn't be any water because...
Yeah, and water's not going to be necessary. It's the heat that we want, and we will provide the wood also for a fire in there.
And they do not shut the electric off, I found out, so we should be good there.
Okay.
You probably would need your own porta potties.
Yep.
Because I know the bathrooms are shut off, the water and stuff.
Mm-hmm. That's already in the works and planned for.
Okay, and plowing, we normally don't plow after Christmas, I believe. So we would have to open that up before the events. You definitely need to coordinate with the street department on getting that plowed so you can use a parking lot and a drive-through.
Okay.
You would not be using the boat landing for anything, it'd just be the park area.
Just in the park area. The original idea was to have it down by the brewery, but we were unsure of the stability of the ice for a large number of people at that area, so we felt much safer doing it at the park, so.
Will you be clearing the snow off the lake then?
Yeah, that part will take care of that. They're really, it's lanes, actually.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Is that something they have to coordinate with the DNR? Because we don't have any jurisdiction on the lake. Once you're off the parkland on the lake, I don't know where it falls there.
We're not using the water. We're using the surface. So we're not putting anything in the water.
I would say shoveling and
I would
plowing
say
off
that it
Shouldn't be a problem.
probably wouldn't be an issue that we'd need to worry about.
I'd bring up is like your liability insurance.
the chambers would
Yeah.
cover that.
to cover it, because if somebody hits a snowbank later on, gets injured, somebody will pay.
Yeah. All right. The three other things that I want to mention that we talked about at our meeting last month. It was brought up that Hinckley has the Governor's Deer Hunting opener next year, and it was brought up that it would not be a bad idea for the surrounding communities. There's going to be a couple of thousand people in Hinckley additional on that day, and there's a morning event and then an evening event, so all kinds of time in the daytime. So it would behoove this area to have activities or things, maybe draws to this area because of the number of people that are expected to be in Hinckley. So so that's more informational for you. Our annual meeting is coming up January 13th. That is going to be at the Sioux Line Event Center. We would encourage as many people as possible. You all are welcome to attend as city councilors and certainly mayor and administrator and any of the public works. Dusty has sign up. We do need you to sign up, and there is a cost for the dinner. It's $20. The event is fun. It's not a stuffy meeting kind of event. It is a lot of fun. So we'd encourage you to come to that if you can. And then lastly, just to put it out there, the Business Expo going into next year's April 21st is the date that we have planned for that for 2018. It was a very successful event last year, and we plan to build on that.
So anyone wanting coal, that would get it to Dusty to the annual dinner?
Yep.
Any questions from the council?
Sounds like fun. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. My apologies, but we have
Moving on to number 5, previously discussed business, 5A Arena Project Update.
I got the Mighty Ducks amendment number 3 today to extend the grant again, as it looks like the ice resurfacer will be another week or two later than they thought, so it's still coming. We still have the grant. We just need to get the new ice resurfacer.
And that has been signed.
Yes.
Informational for the council. Anything else on Arena Project Update? Nothing? Thank you. 5B Moose Lake City Township Consolidation.
I just got the final draft for the tax study. We just need to review it, and then we'll be ready to bring it here.
Very good. Questions by the council?
No, no.
5C we've already completed. Move on to 5D. There isn't one. Move on to new business. Number 6A, liability waiver, League of Minnesota Cities. This is a normal.
Yeah, we have to do this every year. We always select that we do not waive the monetary limits on municipal tort liability. Otherwise, we potentially could just owe more, so.
So we need a motion to accept the liability coverage waiver form.
I'll second it.
Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carried. 6B Arrowhead Transit Passengers. I think we have that starting on page 58.
Yep, this is one of the things that you guys requested last month, was just to see kind of how it was going, and
Very informal.
here it is.
Total what was the total? 833?
833 over 12 months, or 70 passengers per month, or 8 passengers per day that they're here.
And we passed that
Yeah, that's
for,
great.
how long did we pass it for?
Another year.
Another year. It was a full year. Very good.
Yep. Although that's not true. It locks us into the price for a year. We can cancel it with a month's notice, but
Right.
I think it shows that people are using it, and it's a good thing.
Money well spent then.
Very good. 6C Chamber Annual Request and Budget, and that is on page
62.
62, and this is what we had requested from the chamber, and so they came forward. And let's see, there's 8 events, so I would like to ask support for this year. Now, normally requesting 100 each time. These events bring people, well, everybody can read that. So we're looking at a total of $800.
Mayor, I just have one question. So the funds are available? Where, do you know?
So I put it,
A couple pages down, I think.
yes, page 64, but the Historical Society is here as well. The funds, so if we decided to do the chamber, yes to everything that the chamber says, and yes to the Historical Society, the only thing that I would say is we would pay the chamber as the event came up, which we're going to do anyways. Just as the event came up, we would cut them a check for $100 per time, because we don't have enough to cover all of the chamber events and the historical request at the same time. But yes,
What is the total amount right now?
$2,645.
So I so move that we support the 8 events for the chamber at $100 each and pay as needed.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carried. Historical Society donation request.
Mr. Mayor, councilors, I'm Steve Olson, President of the Historical Society, and unfortunately building manager. Natalie met with Tim and Ted a while back, and they had indicated support for a project that we're doing up there if we ran short. It's a $5,000 mural. You want to come over there, Chris? Chris might probably have it. Doug, did you get the tour?
I don't think I've seen that.
You've seen it. This is a computer mock-up of what they're doing. It's over 50 feet long and 8 feet high, going on 2 walls.
Beautiful.
That one,
Yeah,
this
it's
one.
good. I've seen it.
You've seen it before? Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's in the process now. The total cost is $5,000. We have acquired $3,000 in pledges from some of our members. We're $2,000 short, and we'd like to have the city help us out with that $2,000. We think it's going to be a major draw for the museum. When you walk in the front door, and here's this thing that takes up the whole space across the end and halfway down one wall. And then people that come to town to go to the museum spend money here too, so it's kind of a good deal. We have applied for a grant from the State Arts Council, but we won't know until the end of January if we're going to get any money. So it's kind of iffy. So, and we have to pay the painter at the end of this month because he's going to be done, he says.
Okay, what happens if you do get the grant? Okay,
We could pay you back the $2,000.
okay.
I'll commit to that. I won't be president then, but I'll commit to it anyway.
I will say my suggestion is, A, that we give them the $2,000 to cover the bills no matter what, and we can figure something out later if that doesn't pan out. But I would say that, I would also suggest that we use some of these contribution funds towards this project no matter what. So if we gave them $2,000 and they got the grant, that we ask for something less than that back. I think when you tour it and when you see it and look at the picture, it is and will be absolutely incredible. It will be very, very, very cool in that space. So I think us contributing to it is important.
If you've driven down the Maple Grove Road past the Hermantown Historical Society and seen their building with the fire trucks on the front of it, this is the same painter that painted that. He also painted a 70-foot-high mural on the Tavern on the Hill in Duluth. I don't even know where it is. I've never been there, but 70 feet high. I mean, the guy is definitely a talent. He painted the whole back side of the Douglas County Historical Society is a mural of early life in Superior that he painted also. So it's really going to be a spectacular thing when you walk in there. We are planning on having a grand unveiling on April 21st in the late afternoon, evening, where we are going to have some kind of lunch that's available, but we'll take groups of 15 or 20 into the museum at a time to look at it, because there's not enough room for 100 people to get in there at one time and all try to see the thing. So I thank you for your consideration.
How much,
Question, with this picture, would you sometime be printing this for people to purchase something like this?
We haven't thought of that.
Put it on shirts.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's a
I
good
mean,
idea. And it's so cool because there's a corner in our building, and this burning building is going to go right around the corner, and then this goes on the far wall, and it's got Natalie's Moose in the Lake, because there's a story about the guy that built a raft out of the doors of his house and went out in the lake to escape the fire, and a moose tried to crawl up on the raft with him.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, I would say make some prints like that.
how much of this, if you guys got the grant, how much of this would not be covered by the grant?
It would all be covered by grant.
Oh, it would be?
Yeah, well, there's some incidental lighting and stuff that we'd have to buy.
Oh, the whole thing would be covered by the grant?
The whole $5,000, we applied for like a $6,500 grant because there's some lighting improvements that have to be made and stuff, but we don't know how much we get until they actually decide in January.
Okay.
Any other questions by the council? Indoor motion?
I make a motion, we donate the 2,000 so they can keep going for their burial.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any further questions, discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carries.
Thank you.
So you'll come into the office
Got a
and
meeting up
talk
this
with
month?
Tim and Katie on the check.
When's the painting going to be done?
He said the end of the month.
I did already on Monday.
Okay, 'cause he's already started.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't go in there.
Oh, you didn't go in there?
Okay.
Thank you, Steve. Moving on to 6E, Resolution 12.01.17, DMV support.
This resolution is being passed around for all communities with DMVs or counties or anybody to support, basically saying the new system is really, really, really bad. It hasn't gone well. It's increased overtime. Basically, that they need to fix it, and also requesting some of the additional fees go to the local DMVs rather than to the state.
You have questions, comments, and/or motion?
I so move we adopt Resolution 12.01.17.
Second?
Any further questions? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carried. Under 6F, Barney Hollis email, and I believe that's on
67.
page 67. That's for everybody's preview. I don't think we need to take any action. It's more informational. I think T already answered the question, the major one, that they would help if he needs to dismantle the stuff inside of the pavilion so they can use it. On the grounds, I don't know if the stuff is frozen in the grounds. If he needs to really move it, it shouldn't be in the way of anybody.
I guess I have a question when she brought that up is, have they always stored this stuff in there? Is it stored there till spring, or I guess I didn't know that were storing.
I think since nobody used it, he just left it in place till the weather changed and then went and took it out. And I don't think he's really storing it there. It's just he leaves it up in place, I think.
And when he gets time, he can...
But I think Tia said that he would take it down if they need it. The outdoor stuff may be frozen to the ground, especially after the last few days. That's a little different if you try to take it up, it'll rip.
Oh,
Yeah,
I just wasn't aware that we were allowing.
yeah. No, I don't think anyone ever asked to use it till spring. Do you have anything, Tim, that you want the council to move on concerning the letter?
No.
Very good. And by the way, the second part there, that money is in the budget already. That was part of the budget we talked about earlier. Hearing nothing else, going on to G, liquor license renewal.
In the packet are all the liquor license renewals. All forms have been completed, insurance, payment, everything is in order. Katie did a really, really good job getting the liquor license and tobacco license stuff in. This is actually the first meeting that working in government, that I have gone to that had all of them done.
Insurance, yeah.
So, very good job.
Thank you, Katie. So we need a motion on the liquor license renewal.
I'll make a motion, we approve the 5 applicants for the liquor license renewal for 2018.
6.
No, well, it's not here yet. I think Heather's here.
There's tobacco, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, next one.
Yeah.
I'll second it.
All right.
I'll second it.
Any further questions, discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carried. Number H, tobacco license renewal, and it sounds like we have one yet to come in.
Yep, one is in the mail.
Who is
It's a
that?
check.
Minimart, sorry, Minimart, it's listed there. So my suggestion would be to approve it pending everything is complete by December 31st, which they already sent the money, didn't they?
They sent everything, I just haven't got it yet.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Said they overnighted it, but I didn't get it today.
Questions or a motion by the council?
I'll make the motion, we accept the 2018 tobacco applications for the 9 individuals listed here and pending receipt of minute marks. Other than that one instance, there was no
No.
other issues.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any further questions, discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carried. 6I, committee and annual appointments.
I'm wondering, would you like me to post all these in the paper, online, all of that stuff
Yes, and on the bulletin boards.
on the bulletin boards? If any of you are the chair of a committee that, I'm trying to get there, I'm sorry, has anybody open, or their term is coming up, please check and see if your committee would like to have them back, or if they want to be back. There's a couple things that I'll update before our next meeting for our organizational meeting, like our attorney and financial advisor and things like that. There's also a letter, sorry, page 146, from Steve Devangelinski, who is stepping down from the Water and Lake Commission. His term was up. He's not stepping down. He's not seeking to be reappointed to the Water and Lake Board.
So that'll be another one that we will be advertising.
Yep. Some of these other ones, I would ask that we check with the boards and see if they can just be reappointed.
Anyone want to volunteer for the weed and tree inspector
No,
position?
that's next month. That's next month. We're gonna hold off on that. You guys can fight about
I'm
that next
thinking
month.
about it, Ted.
Go ahead.
I know that one.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I want to thank Steve for the fantastic job he's done through the 3 years, and just appreciate all the time and effort he's put into it.
Very good. Thank you, Steve.
The one thing I'll say is I am planning on at least getting a few bids for the city auditor Clifton Larson Allen's been doing it for a long time. The fee went up again this year, and I'm just planning on seeing what else is out there as far as auditors go.
Very good.
On these appointments, I think that we should talk to Terry before she leaves and give her a copy of that, if possible. She stayed here this whole time about looking for these, are any of these, that we have an open
Terry.
spot on the planning?
Grab one of those.
I know library.
Good catch, Phil.
We didn't want to do that, Ken.
Oh, that open one is the Water and Light Commission has been, has had somebody appointed to that one.
What about our planning commission?
That was two openings, yeah.
The planning commission shows it's open.
Right, I'm saying that was,
Okay,
at the beginning of the year, I haven't changed it since the Water and Light decision to include a Water and Light board member
Sure.
on the planning commission. That's what that open one was filled with.
Well, Joanne Unson's would be the only.
Yep.
Who has been coming to the meeting?
She's
From
come.
the, no, from the,
Steve, sorry.
Steve has been?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the Housing Redevelopment Authority, do you know if those two people are wishing to stay on?
They are, but yes.
Okay. Then we have the Library Board, and those two people have stated they want to stay
Yes.
with the board. So there's an opening on the Planning Commission and...
Parks and Rec always has a couple openings on it. Water and Light, I'm not sure if that one requires being within the city or not.
The library, or the cemetery board will have an opening.
We'll have an opening with Lou Hall.
So,
Won't be there.
And Cemetery Board, so that's another one I'll have to mark down.
Blue Hall?
Yeah. Any council members, of course, if you looking at any of the committees that you would like to serve on, please talk to the individual who is on it right now to see if you want to, or if they're willing to change with you. So,
well, I think this year we'll need to, we'll switch the mayor, assistant mayor.
oh, how come?
Oh, because we do that every year.
Oh, okay.
It's nice.
I was just wondering if you had another reason.
No,
Okay.
And we will have an organizational meeting in January before the regular meeting, so
Mayor,
all of
of
that
course we will.
will get voted on.
Mayor, I'd just like to comment, though, on...
Yes, sir.
On Chris, when she did do that meeting a while ago when you were gone, that just excellent, excellent meeting she did, so.
All right.
It went by so quick.
Wasn't that one,
Fastest moving.
wasn't that one like 25 minutes long?
It was fast.
Not saying anything.
There'll be more to come, Chris.
I think that was really
No.
very
Mayor, I just had a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
Engineering, are we going to be looking at,
can do-
all these companies, or are we going to be,
We can do the same thing that we're doing with the auditor, where we just
okay,
take bids if you want.
Well, we have the banks, the bank,
okay.
financial advisor, bond counsel, city auditor,
Yeah.
the depositor, the newspapers.
Building inspector, are we still looking at, because I know Cloquet has, a different building inspector. Have we ever talked to them to see if they were interested in?
Cloquet's is different, theirs is full-time. If you want to do that one, we can do that right now as well.
I think there's interest every year.
Yeah.
I think we should put it out there. It's not, we don't need the elephant in the room. We have been actively looking, and we've had active complaints every single year. Doesn't mean that he's not doing his job, it just means that we get a lot of complaints.
Most people don't like
How would you like to handle reviewing those? Because there's 5 or 6 on my desk right now, so,
The complaints or applicants?
applicants.
Oh, we were not aware of that.
Did not know that.
Oh.
Now you are.
Well, we have a Personnel Committee.
You want to do it through the Personnel Committee?
Yeah.
You want to do it that way?
Okay.
Start with that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And then,
They can bring the recommendation to the council.
and then animal control, I thought Tim was going to volunteer for that. Was he? That's not part of the job? Was that part of the job description, I thought, Ted? Oh, sorry. I'll quit.
You know what I don't see on here? Waste pickup for the city. I know Nordstrom's do that. I don't know if
It's not an annual appointment.
we've never done the annual appointment? Okay.
No.
Anything else? So that's it for the committees, and all those will be posted in multiple media
Mhm.
places and boards. Okay, thank you. Any questions from the council? Very good. Moving on. Teamster agreement.
We're going to close for that one, so go on to
So,
committee and board.
We will have a closed meeting at the end. We'll go through reports, committees, announcements first. Are there any reports or correspondence? I don't have anything on my list. Committee and board meeting minutes. We have the Fire Department, Fire Protection District meeting minutes for October 10th, 2017. We have the Public Library meeting minutes for November 13, and the Parks and Rec meeting minutes for December 4th. Just one thing, did we have on the fire department, we didn't put the
Not the new ones, no.
fire call report. I think there's I got it here, 41 calls in September, 9 were dispatched and canceled. There were 4 fire alarms, 2 motor vehicle accidents without injury, 2 power lines down, 1 camper RV fire, 1 electrical outlet fire, 1 passenger vehicle fire, and a semi-truck tire fire. Just note to the fire department, thank you very much for your service and a good job. Other than that, any questions on the committees and the board meeting minutes? Hearing none, we'll move on to announcements. Regular Moose Lake City Council meeting Wednesday, January 10th at 6:30. Don't we have a reorganizational meeting before that?
We do, but it'll be at 6:30, so that's more just for our business, but it takes place at the same time. Separate agenda, but
Shouldn't it be close to the very beginning of the year, even if it's not on?
no, what I'm saying is our organizational meeting will take place at 6:30. It just has a separate agenda, and we do it at the same time as the other one.
Thank you very much.
So otherwise, I mean, if you would like, the organizational meeting of the city council would be January 10th at 6:30.
Thank you. Moose Lake Water and Light Commission, regular meeting Wednesday, December 20th at 4 p.m.
You know, the animal control is still open, Ted.
Thank you. And that'll be at the Moose Lake Conference Room. Moose Lake Housing Redevelopment Authority Board, January 8th, 11 a.m., Hillside Manor Office. Moose Lake Area Fire District will be Tuesday, December 12th. That's already happened. Emergency Response Center.
Is the next meeting.
There you
See,
go.
this is why I get touchy during this section, every time.
I gotta keep you guys in mind.
January 9th.
2018.
I did pretty good with those through this, if you'll see.
Every city administrator's got this.
I'm going to get this section right 1 month.
Okay.
All right, that's fine.
That's, you just set your goal for the year. Everybody take note.
Got to reach.
Pay, develop it. I mean, that's, depends on little development. Okay.
All right.
Moose Lake Park Board meeting Monday, January 1st at 6:30 p.m. Right here in the council chamber.
That can't be.
No, it can't be.
It did not say in the minutes when it got moved to, so I put it down where it was scheduled.
That might be the following Monday. Let's get the calendar out.
No, it says next meeting.
I'm just
Monday,
kidding.
January.
I'm just kidding.
It says this on the
January-
park board record.
Right.
Says the 8th here.
Does it really?
Right at the bottom, 6:30. Oh, no, this is the second Monday due to the New Year's.
Correct.
I'm going to delete this section out of the agenda.
Okay, this is the first red mark on your new goals and going downhill quick. Library Board meeting January 8th at 1:45 PM, the city conference room. Moose Lake Technology Committee, Thursday, January 4th at 9 AM in the conference room. Any questions on the announcements? I think we have them all right. And with that, I'd like to thank everyone that came. We're going to have to go into a closed session on the Teamsters agreement.
Motion to close.
Motion to close regular city council meeting.
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
We're going to go to the conference room.
Okay.